Okay, so welcome to 2024. This is not the first video I have recorded this year, and it's not the first video I have tried to record this year. A little bit more on that in a second. But I think it's going to be the first video I release this year. I feel like that kind of sounds about right. If I haven't done anything yet, I should just make it the Thursday video. That's a good, nice way of doing it. It feels like a good, fresh start. And I hope everyone had a lovely New Year's holiday. Hope everyone had a great 2023 and that your 2024 is even better. It is happier. It is more peaceful. You feel like you're able to be super productive. We love progress in this house or in any other house. Speaking of this house, there's a reason I'm not recording in my car. I guess maybe two reasons. I don't actually know how cold it is. Maybe I could do it in the car. I don't know. We're saying that out of context, doing it in the car. It makes it sound like a fucking euphemism. But anyways, point is because this is the last time I'm going to have this backdrop. I've said it before that I am starting to move into my parents' place, and today I was actually going to move my posters. I actually have a box right now that I'm trying to fill with some of them, and I got some of them from the other walls down, but I figured, let me go ahead and do this first, then I can move these down. It feels nice to have the backdrop at least one more time. Now, wherever I end up next, which is not like wherever, it's going to be my parents' place, although maybe there's an option where I go somewhere completely different. I don't think so, but we're going to still kind of experiment for a bit. There will still be a backdrop. There will still be posters, mostly the same ones, because I do have others, like I said, from different walls. They might be in the mix. Some of these might be on other walls. We will see. But to me, this feels like a nice bookend. Speaking of art and posters, we have an artist for our VN now, and I'm very, very happy. To me, there were multiple boxes that an artist needed to check off. First and foremost, do I think your art style fits the story I'm trying to tell here? And to be honest, that's not the highest bar in the world, because I had seen a lot where I'm like, I can see it. I can see it in like the way the characters are designed. I can maybe see it in the shading. I can see it in just like maybe specific characters really look like how one of my characters looks in my head. So that's not the hardest box to check off. The next box is, like, can I actually get in communication with you? Because there are some who I'm like, there just is no way. Like, maybe you accept DMs on Twitter, but I don't have premium. I don't really want to buy premium, so I can't actually reach out to you. Maybe you don't have DMs available. Maybe you're only available on certain websites, but then you don't respond to them, which, fair. Some people don't want to be contacted. Some people have special ways that they want to be contacted. But if I can't contact you, or if I do and you don't respond, that's not going to work. Also, how affordable is it? Because there have been a lot of artists where I'm like, fuck, that looks so good. They're communicating. This is great. That's just not something that is in our budget. We don't really have a budget, unfortunately. But that is just not something we're able to do. That sucks. And then also, if we're able to meet all of that, I mean, that's really it. But I guess to me, it's also like a sense of efficiency. Like, if someone can meet all those boxes, but it's going to take them 2 years to make a character, that's not something I would particularly want for this kind of project. But the person we have, I really like the art. They've communicated back and forth. That's great. I feel like their prices are very affordable. And it looks like in the previous couple times they've done a commission for me, it's been within a week. And I reached out to them and was like, all right, this is the project we want to do. Would you be interested? They said, hey, I've never done something like this before, but that sounds cool to me. We discussed price. Sounds like that's kind of all Gucci. I'm happy. I am excited. Like I was saying earlier, we like progress. We want the year to be productive. That helps. I was actually doing quite a bit of like scripting yesterday, and I was like, I feel like I have this renewed sense of vigor for the project. Because I feel like that was a big part of it. Part of it was like, all right, genuine writer's block. Part of it was I'm doing other shit. But there's also that sense of, am I wasting my time? Not because I think like the story sucks, because I like it a lot. But do I really, like, if we don't even have all the pieces, I don't, like, are we even going to get the pieces? What's going on? And now that a major piece has fallen into place, like, okay, it makes everything feel a lot more real and a lot more tangible, which gets me a lot more excited. Let's see. I guess speaking of writing, I heard about, I don't remember if I said this on the channel. Maybe I did. I don't remember. But there was a writing contest I had applied to, and I didn't win. I think the winners were the top 3, and I was in the top 6. But I'll take that. And I finally got the feedback back from it, and I was like, huh, this is pretty positive. That makes me happy. It's like, it feels good to know that when I put my soul into something, I spent a lot of fucking time on it, it can actually come out as pretty damn good. Let's go. So I mentioned earlier, this is not the first video I am recording or the first one I have tried to record. So the first one I successfully recorded was Worm 5, which I did immediately before I started this. But I'll probably release it right after. It's like I said, this feels better thematically. The first one I tried recording was the 2023 tier list. So here's the problem. He's like, there's the big problem, which is fixable, and then the little problem, which is also fixable. It's just a matter of doing it. What I wanted to do was have everything on one tier list. Be like, okay, let's talk about everything, because in addition to my normal tiers, bottom of the fucking barrel through the double S, I want to have 2 extra tiers. There was going to be the triple S, which is, this is the king of the year, because the double S was going to be more of, this is kind of the king of every category. This is my favorite album that I listen to. This is my favorite game that I play. This is my favorite show that I watch, etc., etc. And then the triple S was, this is the king of kings, which, I mean, I'm not like trying to appoint a god, but it's like, this is the king of the year. And then, out of all the bottom of the fucking barrels, this one's the worst of the year. And like, it gets a tier below that, which I'm thinking, like, I'm just gonna call like the Abyss or the Shadow Realm. Something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'll just call it like Perdition or some shit. Like, this is the worst of the worst king. Which was gonna be Kuro too, by the way. It's like, I don't think there's anything that made me just more upset and angry and bitter and like everything that a bottom of the fucking barrel is supposed to be. While there were definitely some bottom of the fucking barrels in other categories, I don't think for me anything topped Kuro 2 in that regard. But alas, I couldn't do this because I had so much shit to talk about. It didn't all fit in Tier Maker. Tier Maker's like, whoa! Like, I remember I talked about this when I was doing the first tier list video, where you ever play old Mario Party and you don't have enough stars and you cross the star and Toad goes, whoa! That was how Tier Maker felt. It was like, whoa, you can't do all that. So like, okay. That maybe works a little better. I can do it in rounds. Here is me talking about all the games. Here we talking about all the albums. Here we talking about all the shows, etc., etc., etc. So I started doing that with the movies. And about 20 minutes in, I realized the mic isn't plugged in. Fuck. Okay, that sucks. But okay, I caught it early. There's time to fix this. Let's go again. I plugged the mic in, and the mic was not picking up anything. Which, to be fair, luckily for me, I was like, okay, let me actually test it. Which I should have done the first time. My bad, 100%. I was like, let me try this again. Okay, this isn't working. I don't know when I'm going to fix this. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when, because I genuinely want to do this. I'm not sure if that'll be, I don't think it'll be today. Hopefully tomorrow or Saturday. And if I don't finish it Friday or Saturday, then hopefully on Sunday. I will forego watching the Saints disappoint me so I can get this shit done. Transition into football. I have not done an NFL video in a couple weeks, and there's a few reasons for that. And by a few reasons, what I really mean is I just haven't had the time, which I hate saying because time is kind of all I have. But these past few weeks, I've been just trying to spend a lot of time with friends. I had a friend who was in town for the first time since, February? No, that was the year before, I think. It's been quite a fucking while since I saw him. So I wanted to make sure I spent a lot of time with him, and I was spending time with a lot of other people. So I was having very long nights where I wasn't watching football, and then wasn't getting as much sleep as I should have been. And so because of that, those long nights when I wasn't doing other shit, I really wanted to do the other shit that I wasn't doing, which meant I wasn't watching football. I would maybe watch a game or so, which was great. I really like doing that. I was like, I don't have the time to record, which sucked. What really grinds my gears about it is I think it was 2 weeks ago, I made my picks, and most of them were wrong. And I remember thinking to myself, it looked, not that anyone really watches the football videos, but I'm like, to anyone who does, probably looks really bad if I got a bunch of picks wrong and didn't make a video about it, because it looks like I'm just trying to be like, all right, that didn't happen. Please ignore it. I'm like, no. I want to take accountability for that. It was a bad week. I don't think last week was that much better. I remember picking the Bucks. I was like, please just end my fucking hope. Because I know we're not going to make the playoffs because the Bucks play the Panthers in week 18. They're winning that fucking game. And even if they do, it's like, well, I have to have hope for the wild card. And the Seahawks are playing the Cardinals. And yeah, the Cardinals just beat the Eagles. But the Eagles look like shit right now. Do I really think the Cardinals are going to beat the Seahawks? No. And even if they do, yeah, the Bears have to beat the Packers first. And the Bears have been looking better. But do I really think the Bears are going to beat the Packers? They could, but probably not. It's like there's so much shit that needs to happen for the Saints to make the playoffs because the Saints couldn't win games that they needed to win throughout I'm going to stop because I can feel it. I can feel it, man. I just wanted them to lose so I didn't have to have hope for another week. But now I do because I'm going to be like, all right, the Bears have been looking pretty good the past few weeks. Oh, the Cardinals just beat the Eagles. This shit could happen. The Panthers got absolutely wrecked by the Trevor Lawrence-less Jaguars. But the week before, they damn near beat Green Bay. Like, that, they can do it. Like, I don't want to have to go through that shit again, man. Just end my suffering. But they did not end my suffering. So I have to have hope. Anyways, I will do a picks for week 18. After week 18, when the playoffs are set, I do want to do a video on that at the end of the regular season. Then make my playoff picks. And I want to make sure I do those weekly as the playoffs go like I did last year. So if you do actually watch my football content, I apologize for the lack of it lately. I do want to get back on that train. Other stuff that I have been... No, don't go in there, Bob, you dilly boy. Go. Other projects I have been working on. I did finish watching Mobile Suit Gundam. I was watching the film trilogy rather than the show. I don't think I'm going to do a video on it. I don't feel particularly passionate enough about it. It's not like man, this show was phenomenal and these movies were phenomenal, I have to talk about them, or man, these were dog shit, I have to talk. I was like, it's fine. There's some shit in there that's really good, and there's some shit in there that's really interesting. It just didn't quite hit me. It just didn't quite click with me. I can definitely see the appeal. I feel like I liked the story and the world a lot more than some of the specific characters. For me, this kind of story about, like, these two countries, like these two, like, big, like, powers, these almost worlds, in conflict with each other, and the strategy going on between both sides, and here's the main character of this side, and all the shit they're trying to do, and the main character of this side, who's also trying to change things and become, like, a leader and shit. I would just rather watch Log. Legend of the Galactic Heroes is some absolute goated Kino shit. I would recommend that to anybody. I would recommend it 100 times out of 100. Because I do like war stories and political stories. Just MSG overall didn't quite hit me. I don't know when I'm starting Zeta, but I am going to start Zeta. Because it's not just like, I watched the original Mobile Suit Gundam. Boy, it was fine. I'm not going to do anything else. Like, no. I do want to get into Gundam. I have seen... Now, I guess I've seen MSG or OG MSG. Bahamut, stop trying to get in there. No, bub, I don't want you to get fur all over my posters. I don't want you to, like, cut them up with your claws like you did to my arm the other day. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to zap you there with the static. What was I saying? I've seen now, technically, MSG, Witch from Mercury, which I loved, G Gundam, which I loved, which I know is not a good representation of Gundam. I've seen the first season of 00 years ago. I remember not liking it. I remember trying to watch Seed when I was about 10 and waiting for Inuyasha to come on, and I didn't get into it. So I don't know which series I'm going... I know I'm going to do Zeta, Double Zeta, and Shard's Counterattack, so I can at least get UC out of the way. I don't want to say out of the way, but it's like, I feel like if you're getting into Gundam, you got to watch UC. Oh, I tried watching Wing, and I could not fucking get into Wing. But, I want to watch UC, then kind of start experimenting between other mainline shows, OVAs, movies. My goal is not to have, like, consumed all of Gundam this year, because that's a lot in addition to everything else that's interesting to me. But I do want to do what I can. Oh yeah, I'm still working on Yuzora. So the first couple days when I was trying it, I was having a lot of fun and making progress. And then when I was trying it yesterday, I was like, I feel like all my progress is now gone. And that fucking sucks. But my goal with him is, I want to beat him by the end of this week. If I don't, it depends on how I feel. If the feeling I have is, I'm still having fun, and I still really want to do this, and I feel like I can, I'm going to keep doing it, but I am going to also start another game project, and that is for sure going to be Somnium 2. If, after the week is passed, I haven't beaten him, I'm like, you know what, I'm not enjoying this anymore, I don't care, then I'm going to fully drop Yuzora and try to start playing Somnium 2, I don't want to say full-time, it's not a job, but it is my full game project. Dude, what the fuck? Sorry, like, something fell, and I wasn't sure if it was a bug or just some, like, dust. I think it was just dust that kind of scared the shit out of me. But I think that's all I have to say before getting into the big one. I had said last week that I was going to get my 2024 list. I have good news and bad news. The good news, there's a list, and I wrote it all down. The bad news is, what my goal was like, I want to see if I can narrow everything down to about 12 or less. So I'm like, all right, this is the book I'm going to do in this month. This is the show I'm going to watch in this month. Some categories, namely video games, have a lot fucking more than So please keep in mind, I guess, a couple things. Number one, not everything on this list is out. Some of them, like for example, the Class of '09 anime is on here. I don't think that's actually going to come out this year. They haven't started it yet. The Kickstarter is still going. I doubt that it will, because I understand this is something that takes a lot of time. It's on the list because just in case it comes out, I'm going to watch it. I might even just try to be like, all right, I know there's a lot of controversy about reaction videos, but if there's one thing that deserves a reaction video, it's Class of '09. I would love to do this. Like, here, this is me watching this shit live. Let's go. Oh, that sounds wonderful, and it sounds awful. If I could get it to go, I would want to get it to go. And like another one is Muv-Luv Integrate, which I know isn't coming out because Muv-Luv Resonative has to come out first. So that's the one that's actually on the list, and I don't even know if that's coming out, but you get the idea. There are things on the list that might not come out. There are things on the list that aren't out yet, and I know there's going to be some shit that I missed or didn't think about or just didn't know existed that's going to show up and make me go, fuck, I have to play, /read, /watch, etc. But without further ado, my 2024 list. 4 movies. The Mobile Suit Gundam trilogy, which I finished. Char's Counterattack, which I just, I haven't gotten to that yet. The only other movie that is on here, I should have wrote Dune 2. I didn't think of it until after I finished the list, but when Dune 2 comes out, I do want to watch it. It's a mad world. Because I've never seen it. And I was like, wait, this movie sounds great. How the fuck have I never seen this? So that's on the list. In terms of books. So this is not including VNs. This is like full-on book. I mean, they can be like an ebook or whatever, but you know what I mean. Alice in Wonderland. Dune 2. I don't remember if that's Dune Messiah or Children of Dune, but the friend that got me Dune for Christmas got me Dune 2 for Christmas, so like I'm going to read it. It's also a lot shorter. It's like half the size of original Dune. I think that's kind of cool. Worm. I do want to read ReZero, at least the first book or two, and kind of get a vibe for it. Eden of the East. No, sorry. Wait. Yeah, Eden of the East is the show. East of Eden is the book. So Jose read it last year, and he said it's his favorite book, or at least one of his favorite books. He really turned me on to wanting to read it. This is How You Lose the Time War. Something I heard about last year that sounded really interesting. I'm interested in reading Slayers. This is something I found out about very late last year and really caught my attention. I don't know if I'm going to read it, if I'm going to watch it. I might do both. I might not get to it at all, but it's at least on the list. I'm interested in checking out The Witcher. I'm interested in checking out Wheel of Time. It's going to be long, but I am interested, at least to some degree. And Life and Death, which, as you may or may not know, is the canon gender-swapped version of Twilight. Yeah, when I realized that this existed and wasn't just a shitpost, it's like, oh my gosh, I have to read this. Because here's what's going to happen. Either I am going to unironically love it, because the idea of a sexy vampire how did that one post phrase it? It was like, yeah, believe it or not, the idea of a sexy vampire babe grappling with her desire to both fuck me and eat me is kind of hot. And also a muscular Native American lady trying to save me from the vampires. Like, either I'm going to unironically love it and hate myself because I do, or I'm going to ironically love it and think it's hilarious that this exists. I'm going to have a great time either way. But it is on the list. Shows. Konosuba Season 3, because that comes out this year, and I'm excited for it. Log Horizon Season 3, because that came out a few years ago, and by the time I realized it came out, it's kind of like with RWBY, when I'd be like, wait, we're on Season 8? Bro, I didn't even know season 6 was out because I had watched the first 2 seasons of Log Horizon. And I liked it quite a bit. I was like, man, I'm looking forward to season 3, and it didn't come out, and then it did finally come out, so I need to watch it. Undead Unluck, because I remember my friend was reading it, and I guess the first season came out and just ended, so I feel like I should check it out. The Scott Pilgrim anime, I'm really interested in checking out. I've never seen Arcane, and I kept hearing it was just absolutely phenomenal. I talked a bit about Gundam. So Zeta Gundam, Double Zeta, and Turn A are the ones I specifically have on the list. This is not an exhaustive list of all the Gundam I plan on watching this year. I don't know a whole lot of others off the top of my head. I know I'm interested in Build Fighters, at least to some degree, because I've heard good things about it. I heard Rainbow Rowell was in it. I really liked Rainbow Rowell. I remember watching a video about Gundam late last year. It was kind of what made me go... It was around the time I was watching, I think, the second half of Witch from Mercury. I was either about to finish it or just finishing it. I was like, fuck, do I need to get into Gundam? Because this was really good. And the parts of the show where I was like, okay, now it's going full Gundam are fantastic. And the video was talking about a lot of different OVAs and shit. I was like, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. I didn't write them down, but I do want to get into them. But I feel like this, for me, feels like the minimum is Zeta, Double Zeta, and Turn A. Jujutsu Kaisen. I've seen like 2 episodes, maybe? Because I was hanging out with my sister and we were just picking out different shows to watch. She's like, you haven't seen it, let's watch a couple. And I thought it seemed fine. The problem I have with Jujutsu Kaisen has nothing at all to do with Jujutsu Kaisen. It has to do with all the hype. Because I have had shows get hyped up to me that I did not get into. Demon Slayer. I did not watch it. I read it. And I understand a big appeal of Demon Slayer are the visuals. Because say what you will about UFO Table, because boy, after reading Unlimited Blade Works, I really hate their adaptation. They look phenomenal. And the parts of Demon Slayer that I have watched, like, that's really fucking pretty. But I did choose to read it, and I thought it was mid as fuck. I could not get into it. I got a decent chunk of the way through. I remember reading, I think the last full arc I read was like the Red Light District, and then I was partway into the next arc, and I had went a few weeks without reading anything, and I went, I've gone a few weeks without reading, and I don't give a shit. To me, what makes me tell how much I'm getting into something is either A, I have that desire to pick it up and keep reading, keep playing, or when I haven't played it or I haven't read it in a while, I feel guilty. If I haven't touched something in a while and I forget that I haven't touched it and I'm not like, man, I need to get back on it because it's good or I said I would, I'm just like, oh, right. That's a problem. That's why I dropped Demon Slayer. Another show people had really hyped up to me and are still hyping up to me is Attack on Titan. I watched the first season. I didn't get into it. I feel really bad for saying this. But I think Attack on Titan, at least season 1, is one of the funniest shows I have ever seen. It is rarely, if ever, intentionally funny. But it is hilarious. Just it's the visuals. It's these over-the-top faces that keep fucking happening. And I'm like, I want to get in to the seriousness and the gravity of what's going on. But that face is cracking me up. The Titans' expressions are so funny. The smiling Titan's really creepy. I'll give it that. Most of the others are fucking funny. Now, I feel like I've said this before. I don't know if I said it on the channel or not. To me, what would make Attack on Titan really scary is the idea of they're so tall, you can't see their faces. Like, you look up and you can't even see it. And so it's always in shadow. And not just like in the non-rev, we're lazy version. We're like, no, like, I can't see it. That sounds terrifying, actually. It makes them, because you can't see the faces, you don't see the goofiness. It makes them feel that much more otherworldly. Like, it doesn't even have a face to look at. Because when you see their faces, it kind of humanizes them. And that's even before you get into any of Attack on Titan's twists, which to me, for the most part, again, the Smiling Titan I do feel is a genuine exception. It makes them less scary. And then there's how goofy they look, which makes them go from less scary to flat out funny. And like, I remember this one dude, I think he was like the head of the garrison, and he was like this big coward. Something about his face made me think of Jim Carrey. And he also had some over-the-top expressions. I remember the first time Eren, I mean, this is a spoiler, but I feel like this is like the most known thing about Attack on Titan or Titan Shifters. So the first time Eren goes back to being a human after he's like, I'm going to kill them all. And he's talking about Titans, but no one hears his internal monologue. So all they hear is him going, I'm going to kill them all. But he has this fucking rape face. And I remember pausing the episode so I could laugh, because that face was gold. I unpause the video, and then it pans to Armin, whose jaw is on the floor staring at Eren, and I paused again and laughed even harder. Boy, I could not get into it. I know everyone says it's great, and that it gets absolutely insane, and it's like the most addictive story, and that the world building is great, and blah, 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 blah. I tried. I couldn't get into it. And then there's SAO. The less I say about SAO, the better. But to keep it concise, I think Aincrad is a phenomenal idea for a story with terrible execution. I think Alphim or ALO, whatever the fucking elf thing is called, was, for the most part, well executed. I felt like there was actual fucking pacing to this story. But it was so uninteresting and just so icky that I hated it. I barely even tried watching Gun Gale, not the spinoff. Oh god, that comes out this year. I forgot. I didn't put that on the list. I 100% would have if I remembered. Oh, because like the actual sequel when they're in the Gun Gale game, I don't give a fuck. The Gun Gale spinoff. I can't remember her name, but I remember Peachon, her fucking P90 pink machine gun. That show was so good. And I think it's getting a season 2. I can't wait for that. Anyways, back to my point. My interest in Jujutsu Kaisen is just because I keep hearing it's so good, but I've been burned several times before. That's why I'm not like chomping at the bit to watch it. Everyone's like, have you seen it yet? It's so good. Sure it is. And maybe it is. There are shonens that I like. There are shonens that have been hyped up to me. I'm like, yeah, that's good. I know a lot of people shit on My Hero. I hear Mid-Hero Academia all the time. I still really like it, though I haven't been caught up in a while. People were telling me for a long time how good Hunter x Hunter is. They're right. Hunter x Hunter is fantastic, dude. Hell, even JoJo. It's like, I have my problems with JoJo. I still fucking love it. I plan on watching Jujutsu Kaisen. I just don't know when. Oh, Chainsaw Man's another one, because like people were talking about it for a while, and I was like, fine, I'll read it. Fuck, I'm having a lot of fun with Chainsaw Man. I hope Jujutsu Kaisen ends up being similar. Gun Gale, it's on the list. Let me bring that up, because I can't wait to watch that. That's going to be great. Continuing watching Adventure Time with Clay, because boy, we have not done that in a while. And I feel like Clay likes that. Not in the sense where he's like, dude, the show got bad, I don't care anymore. He's like, we watched a lot of Adventure Time in a short time frame. I want to kind of have that time off. And like, I get it, but I don't want to lose that momentum, because when that momentum is lost, it's a problem. But it's like what I was saying earlier about Demon Slayer, how I didn't care that I wasn't reading it. I care that we haven't been watching Adventure Time. I'm still invested, baby. Zom 100, I've heard about that. That sounds kind of interesting. Like I mentioned earlier, the Class of '09 anime, I don't think it'll happen. But if it does, I want to watch it. The big one. I don't know if I'm going to do this year. I don't know if I will even start it this year. I've been wanting to rewatch Friendship is Magic for a couple years now, specifically in 2020. Because that was the 10-year anniversary because the show started of 10, 10, 10. So I was like, 10 years. Maybe I should watch it. I mean, technically, I think the show lasted from 2010 to 2019. Was it? No. Was it 2019? It might have been 2018. There's 9 seasons. There's a chance it was on air for 10 years. If not, it was 9. Either way, that's a long fucking time for any cartoon, but for a My Little Pony cartoon. Like, what the fuck? I think it was like, this was the first time a My Little Pony property got a second season, and then it had 9. That's bonkers. I've seen every episode. The first 3 seasons, I know I've seen every episode at least twice. I've read a good chunk of the comics. I've watched the theatrical movie, which I thought was dog shit. There were parts of it I liked, but I remember overall being like, this is so fucking bad. There were, the first Equestria Girls movie, I think is complete dog shit too. But I liked the second one. I remember liking the third one. I'm only vaguely remembering it, and I don't think I've seen any after the third one. But I think there's like 6. I want to rewatch it though. All, 222 episodes? There's so many episodes of this dang show. But what I want, it's kind of like with Ruby. Except with Ruby, it was also a genuine sense of there's like 2/3 or almost of this show I haven't seen yet. And I actually want to kind of know what happens. But with Ruby, I had my questions. Was the show ever good to begin with? I would say yes. Is there, like, after Monty's passing, is there a notable change? I would say yes. There's the art style, but it's also in the choreography. There's a huge change in how fights are choreographed and how the action is done. I don't think it's necessarily worse, because I do think there's still some really good fights. But I do think overall, I like the older style. Does the show ever get bad? Yes. Season 4 sucked. Season 6 sucked. And I definitely have my problems with Season 7, and not as much with Season 8. I think I gave it an A tier, and even still, I'm like, Season 8 for me, depending on my mood, is anywhere from like an A to a C tier season. It's kind of fucking weird. But if the show gets bad, does it stay bad? I don't think it does. Season 4 is terrible. I think Season 5 is fantastic. I think Season 6 is terrible. There's a lot of bad shit in Season 7, but there's a lot of really good shit in Season 7. And while there's a lot of Season 8 that I'm like, it's fine, there is a lot of good shit in Season 8. And boy, does it all come together with Season 9. I got, the questions I had with Ruby were answered. And I feel like for the most part, I came away with positive. Sorry, I saw the number. I was like, does that say 39, 29, or 59 minutes? 39. Okay, I was like, there's no way I've been talking for an hour. Holy shit. I mean, with the worm video, I've definitely been here an hour. Anyways, point. I came away with positive answers. I have some questions for Friendship is Magic as well. Number 1, is the show good? It's kind of the same thing. It's like, okay, was I just caught up in the hype? Was I just in a weird place when I was watching it? Or is the show actually good? Number 2, if it is good, does it get bad? Or is the quality of the seasons consistent? Because I know there's also something where the creator left the show, although very different circumstances. For me, watching it, how noticeable does it feel? If there is is there a dip in quality? If so, when does it happen and does it change? Is there like okay, these seasons are like the last few seasons are all terrible, or is it more of a there's like kind of a dip here, but then it fixes, or is it just the show is consistently really good, but with 220 episodes, there's gonna be some shit. Like there's a quote, there's no way I haven't said it on the channel because I fucking love it. It's like truly great television is 200 plus episodes and like 40 of them are the worst shit you've ever seen. And every time I think of that, I'm like, that's what Friendship is Magic is. Because boy, there are some terrible episodes of Friendship is Magic. But that's kind of what I want to know. What are the best episodes of the show? What are my favorites? Lesson Zero's up there. Oh god, The Perfect Pair. The Applejack's Parents episode. I remember the first time I saw it, I fucking cried. And then I watched it later that day with Clay because he hadn't seen it yet, and I cried again. It's like, that is a 100% cry rate. Let's fucking go. Oh, that one's gonna hurt to watch. But I do want to know, it's like, what are my favorite episodes? What do I think is the best season? What's the best song? Who's best pony? I want to do all that shit. I want to know, and I don't want to do it based solely on my memory of a show I watched over the course of a decade. I want to do it over a show I watched over the course of a few months. Boy, that's a lot of Friendship is Magic, though. I'm kind of scared. I have a lot of it in physical media. I have the first season somewhere. Kind of got lost over the course of a move where I wasn't here to pack my shit. I'm still kind of salty about that, but that's its own shit. But I know I have season 2, 3, because I moved my stuff, or I moved my all my movies to my parents' place, so I can't check and verify, but I believe season 2, 3, 5. And then I think it's like 5, 6, 7, or like 5, 7, 8, or maybe just 5, 7. There's at least 1, maybe 2 other seasons that I have. So I don't have the whole thing. I have probably an unhealthy amount of it. But I do want to rewatch it at some point. I'm very interested in this experiment. VNs. Syconia. And again, I feel like I should say none of these are in any particular order. It's just as they came to mind. Syconia, Higurashi, and I will say with Higurashi, to me, there's 2 times of year where I can read it. Reading it in June, because that's when it all takes place, or reading it in October, because it's spooky. If I don't read it at any of those points, I don't think I'm going to quite get into it. Which feels weird to say because like the anime is genuinely one of my favorite works. Like one of my favorite anime. Like I love Higurashi so fucking much. I clearly fucking love Seacasters. I've been taking a lot of my posters down. I haven't taken Beatrice down yet. I still look and go, Beatrice. But I feel like with something like Higurashi that's so fucking atmospheric, I feel like I really have to get in the right mood for it. And I feel like those times of year are when I would be. Tsukihime, another remake comes out in English this year. I'm really looking forward to it. Fate Hollow, Mihoyo, which I know that's getting a movie. I don't know if Mihoyo has multiple routes or if it is just this is the story. I'm kind of interested in checking that out. I'm a little interested in 11 Eyes. It's something I've heard of. It might be interesting. I don't know. Reading After Story, because I did finish Nagisa's route a couple days ago. Here's what's fucking weird. There was a point near the end of Nagisa's route where I got the opening of the game. It only took about 30 hours to get to the game's fucking cinematic animated opening. It's not really animated, but to get to its opening, rather than 30 minutes into it or 30 seconds into it. Like, that's fucking weird. But okay, it's Clannad. It's fucking weird. But reading After Story, reading House of Fata Morgana, I don't know, You, Me, and Her, Marco and the Galaxy Dragon, Slay the Princess, something I heard about recently. It sounds kind of interesting. Phantom of the Inferno. That's a Gen Urobuchi visual novel. And like, boy, I remember the other one. I remember Saya. What a fucking ride that was. I mentioned Muv-Luv earlier. I don't know if either of them will come out, but I want to. I don't know if this is a VN or if it is more of a game. So I might have put it in the wrong spot. But, what is it? Utawa Rerumomo? The Mask of Truth or some shit. I know there's a few of them. The way I know about it is a lot of people I follow on Twitter that talk about Trails, got into Trails, and then got into this. So it sounds like it's good. I don't know if it's quite like you like Trails, you'll like this. But I've been exposed to it. I don't know a lot of plot or spoilers. But I've heard good things. I'm interested. Games. It's going to be a while. P3 Reload, Metaphor ReFantazio, The Yazorflame KH3, Somnium 2, Digimon Survive, Raincoat, Fate Samurai Remnant, 1000-Year Door Remake, Princess Peach Showtime, Hi-Fi Rush, Lies of P, Octopath Traveler 2, Xenogears, Tales of Fantasia, Tales of Destiny, Tales of Legendia, Tales of Xillia, Alan Wake 2, Nayuta, Boundless Trails, playing the fucking post-game in Kuro 2, Little Goody Two Shoes, Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7R, then probably Final Fantasy 7R2, 358 over 2 days, Recoded, Unicorn Overlord, Path of Radiance, because I dropped it last year, but I'm still interested in going back to it, Radiant Dawn, and if it comes out, Silent Hill F. I actually feel exhausted after reading all that. That's a lot. I'm getting a call now, and I don't know if any of that was still recorded. I genuinely don't know if the recording paused that. It's done now. If that paused and some of these games are cut out, I'm sorry. That upsets me greatly because the person I'm calling, I said, I'm going to go over to your place later. I will see you then. Then we can talk about shit. Oh, that would Aside from that, it's just writing goals. I do want to finish the script to the VN this year. I was supposed to do it last year, but I didn't. I want to finish it this year. Then after finishing it, just finish it. Like, all right, like, let's make some important edits. Let's condense the amount of sprites I have, because I've just been kind of going sprite. I want to condense that. Probably just writing, like, other little things, like little bits of lore, little bits of tidbits. Like it's kind of like in CCATS, where you go to, like, the tips and you can get character biographies and shit. That's something I would like to do as well, at least to some degree. Start the manuscript for the sequel to the manuscript I finished last year. Keep querying. See if I can maybe get someone there. Maybe go back to another story and do some work on it. We'll see. Sorry, like, the person just called me again. Like, I'm gonna call them. I'm in the middle of something right now. I don't know how much of this I'm going to get done in 2024. Very clearly, it is a lot. I do not expect to get all of it done, and I expect the list to keep bloating as shit comes to mind. Again, as I was talking, like, oh shit, I forgot the Gun Gale anime. But that's more or less the goals. In terms of videos, I didn't really have any goals except just to do, like, room/car talk videos every week, which I think I did last year. I think there were a couple times where I missed one on Thursday, but then I tried to just do it on Friday. Or technically it would come out on Wednesday. It's like, I know I'm going to be super busy Thursday. Let me go and get this one done now. But for the most part, I think I was able to keep that consistent. I don't know if everything I finish will get its own video. I never did one for Monster because I didn't feel like I really wanted to, although I loved Monster. I don't feel like I'm going to do one for Original Mobile Suit Gundam. I have a bunch of notes for a Hilda video, at least for season 3. I don't know if I am going to do it. I really liked it. You should go watch it. Like, season 3 is great. Season 2 is great. Season 1 is great. The whole show is fantastic. I don't know if I'm going to do a full vid, though. We'll see. But, I think that's it. I think those are the goals. That was the week. Have a happy new year.